Welcome back to the Explainer, everyone. I am so incredibly thrilled to have all of you focused learners with me today because we are tackling literally one of the most vital challenges in tech right now. We're talking about building production-ready AI systems that users can actually trust. You know, if you've ever wondered how to make an AI that doesn't just guess, but actually knows your specific data, you are absolutely in the right place.
So, I want to start by asking you a really critical question. Where did the AI's answer actually come from? Is it based on real data, or is it just inventing details, right? This is the core problem of AI hallucinations. Blindly trusting a language model in an enterprise app? Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster. Users need to know for sure if the AI is giving them the latest internal policy or just confidently making something up based on the vast unfiltered internet.
Okay, let's dive into this. The absolute best solution to that trust problem is RAG, or Retrieval-Augmented Generation. Basically, it's an architecture pattern that retrieves relevant, private information before it generates an answer. Think of it as the essential bridge between a general AI model and your highly specific dynamic data. So instead of relying on what the model kind of memorized during its training, we literally hand it your documents and say, hey, answer the question using only this.
To get a full grasp of how this all works, here's the architectural roadmap we're going to build together in this explainer. First, the AI trust problem. Second, building the ingestion pipeline. Third, the query and retrieval flow. Fourth, citations and safe boundaries. And finally, number 5, evaluating your RAG system. It's a highly structured journey, right from raw data to a trustworthy AI assistant. Let's get into it.
Section 1, the AI trust problem. Why AI apps need RAG. Now, it's absolutely crucial to frame our discussion here, because a lot of developers mistakenly believe that building an AI app just means, making a quick API call to a language model. But here's the thing. An API call doesn't magically give the model access to your private, constantly changing company knowledge. A major source of confusion here is whether to use RAG or fine-tuning. Think of it like this. Fine-tuning alters how a model behaves or speaks, right? It changes its style through training. But RAG provides external dynamic knowledge at runtime. If you want the AI to ground its answers in specific knowledge, like say a Uplatz course catalog or an internal HR policy that updates every single week, RAG is the architecture you absolutely need. You don't retrain a massive model every time a document changes. You just update the RAG system. So much easier.
Section 2. Building the ingestion pipeline. Preparing knowledge. So the crucial point is, this is the very first half of our architecture, where we actually get the raw data fully prepped and ready for the model. If we trace the literal path of a document as it enters our system, it goes through 4 rigorous steps: extract, clean, chunk, and embed. As developers, we absolutely must think of this as a highly disciplined, rigorous data prep pipeline. You really can't just throw raw PDFs at an AI and hope for the best. It just doesn't work that way.
Because honestly, there's a golden rule here. Garbage in, garbage out. If you feed an AI a corrupted PDF with, completely flattened tables, repeated headers, and totally broken paragraphs, that is a guaranteed recipe for confusing your users. The AI cannot miraculously retrieve what your pipeline completely failed to prepare. It will literally spit out that broken formatting right back at your customer, which is definitely not a great look.
And that leads us to the super critical step of chunking. Since language models have memory limits, context windows basically, we can't send your entire corporate library to the model all at once. We literally have to cut the documents into smaller, logical pieces, or chunks. For instance, if you have a massive Uplatz course, you wouldn't just chunk it randomly by word count. No way. You'd split it by distinct sections or lesson headings just so the context actually stays intact. And this brilliantly illustrates what a well-prepared chunk actually looks like in practice. You have the raw text of a specific course lesson on one side, but attached to it are these metadata tags, things like course ID, tenant ID, access level. These tags are absolute magic. They turn raw text into filterable, manageable assets that prevent utter chaos when your database scales up to millions of documents. Now, what's really fascinating is how we actually make those chunks searchable. We use something called embeddings. Basically, embeddings convert text into mathematical vectors that capture deep semantic meaning, not just exact words. So if a student types a vague question about missing data, the embeddings work their magic to map that intent directly to the precise technical term in your document, like the Python command fill in it. It's pretty amazing when you see it in action.
Section 3, the query and retrieval flow. Answering questions.
Now that our data is beautifully chunked and embedded, we're shifting gears to the second half of the architecture. This is exactly what happens under the hood the precise moment a user asks a question.
When that prompt comes in, we follow a very specific, continuous sequence of steps. First, we retrieve the most relevant chunks from our database. Next, we re-rank them to ensure the absolute best ones are at the top. Then, we actually construct the prompt by combining the user's question with those specific chunks. And finally, we hand the whole shebang over to the language model to generate the answer.
But wait, how do we retrieve the best chunks in the first place? Well, vector search is amazing for broad semantic meaning, but it can actually fail completely if a user searches for hyper-specific terminology. That's why we strongly advocate for a hybrid approach, combining vector search with traditional keyword search. This ensures your system doesn't just completely break down when an engineer searches for an exact product name, like SAP FICO, or a really specific string of error codes.
Now, even with a great hybrid search, your initial retrieval might pull up, say, 20 to 50 chunks. That is way too many for the model to process efficiently. Enter re-ranking. Re-ranking acts as the specialized quality filter. It evaluates those initial candidate chunks and reorders them, ensuring that the exact right document, like for example a specific user's refund policy, is pushed to the very top before the model ever even sees it. Section 4, Citations and Safe Boundaries, Trust and Boundaries. This brings us to honestly the most critical production phase of this explainer. Having a really smart AI is totally useless if it's dangerous or if it leaks data. Safety and trust, those are our ultimate goals here.
So let's talk about permission filtering essentials. Imagine building an AI for a big SaaS platform, right? And you accidentally leak one company's private financial data to a completely different tenant, just because they asked a clever question. Guys, this actually happens. It's terrifying. And this is exactly why you use the metadata we talked about earlier to filter data at the database level, way before the AI ever even gets to see the text. AI security literally begins before generation.
And there is a golden rule you absolutely have to teach your AI. I do not see that information in the provided course material. The absolute hallmark of a secure, highly grounded AI system is its confidence in admitting when it simply doesn't know something. Seriously, a confident but wrong answer is so much worse than just an honest limitation. You must instruct your model to rely only on the retrieved context. No exceptions.
You also have to build your prompts safely. Developers, please pay attention here. You must treat retrieved chunks as untrusted reference data, not system instructions. Like, if a retrieved document contains a hidden prompt injection that says, hey, ignore previous instructions, your system needs to be robust enough to completely ignore that. Furthermore, you always want to ensure your application attaches accurate, trackable citations to every single answer, linking right back to your safe data. It's an absolute must for accountability.
Section 5. Evaluating your RAG system. Measuring performance. So, we've built this incredibly secure pipeline. But how do we know it actually stays secure and accurate over time? That introduces our final architectural pillar. We have to measure if this whole thing is actually working in the real world. To do that, we use RAG observability. This means closely tracking metrics like user queries, retrieved chunk IDs, re-ranker scores, latency, token usage, and user feedback. We have to stop treating our AI like some mysterious black box and start debugging it like a proper, rigorous engineering system. If an answer is bad, good observability tells you right away if the retrieval step failed or if the model just flat out hallucinated.
And honestly, without observability, you will inevitably fall into some incredibly common architectural mistakes. Let's rapid fire through them really quick. Poor document cleaning that just brings in a ton of noise, having no metadata which completely ruins your filtering, relying on vector-only search and then totally failing on technical queries, ignoring permissions and leaking sensitive data, or, my favorite, simply dumping way too much context into the prompt, confusing the model, and absolutely skyrocketing your API costs. Don't do these.
All of this really proves one core philosophy. RAG is not just slapping a vector database onto a chatbot. It is a full, end-to-end knowledge architecture. True retrieval-augmented generation requires structured ingestion pipelines, flawlessly clean data, hybrid retrieval, and continuous observability to actually yield trustworthy answers in production. It takes work, but it's worth it. So I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to challenge your current infrastructure. Is your AI just generating fluent, convincing text, or have you actually built a pipeline of trust? Getting an AI to talk? That's easy. Grounding it in actual truth? That is an engineering discipline. Take these best practices, review your architecture, and start building AI that your users can actually rely on for sure. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep learning.